Steve here again to carry on this topic that I touched on a few nights ago, spirituality. Now, I think spirituality is a very attractive topic for many people, many people who really want to dig deeper and find out something about themselves, self-knowledge and so on. It is a tempting road because there seems to be more about us that we can't really understand, but we get the sense that there might be more. So seems like there's this hunger, right? And just like when there's hunger for food, the tendency for us very often is to get a little bit lazy and go for fast food, go for the quick fix, which is usually not the healthiest, usually not the best for us. So these are, canned foods, these are packaged foods, these are pre-assembled foods. So that's what I liken to the sales hucksters of religion. This is a template that we will answer all of your questions, just like this one bag of highly nutritional, engineered, fortified food will be the best for you. That's what a huckster would say, right? Rather than taking our time to prepare fresh garden vegetables and grains and fruits and so on to create a wholesome meal, it's easier just to rip off the top of a package, dump it into a microwave, and have it. But the results are not usually the best because we don't really understand what's going on in that food. A lot of times we can't even understand the ingredients when we read them. Long words, right? But it's simple. It's like, just take this, And I think that hucksterism in religion is very common. I can't say, because I don't know, that this is always deliberate. Many times somebody who's hawking something, peddling something, might be doing it in all good intentions because it's where they are. Other times maybe not. Maybe people are completely conscious of it in some cases. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the results. It doesn't really matter if somebody completely believes that this food is good for you, but it'll kill you. The objective aspect of it is, the question is, rather, the relevant question is it good for you or not? And is it truthful or not? So it's easier to just accept the platitudes of some religious preacher than to do some inquiry into what's going on by asking questions using critical thinking to try to drill down to what's actually going on. What do we actually know? So preaching is about putting out a whole bunch of assertions and nobody else asking the questions. Whoa, hang on a second here, stop. Let's have a look at this. So let's have a quick little look at what most of us do know about life. We know with fairly great certainty. Now, if this comes across as assertions, perhaps you could do a little drilling down yourself. Don't believe me. But we have this thing called a universe, right? We can look up and we can see stars, do lots of measurements now, fly spaceships out and land on the moon and so on, space rovers out to land on different planets and take pictures, measure things. We look at our planet that we're on, fly around it, we no longer think it's flat. So if we got much more of a grasp on that. So we can say that yes, individually live in the universe. And then we live on a certain planet in that universe. That we can say with great degree of truth because we can back it up with evidence, right? And then individually, we know that we have a body, right? All we have to do is take a hammer to one of our fingers, or just do enough hammering of nails and eventually that'll happen anyway. We know that we have a mental aspect because we can think, and we know that those are associated. We also know that the universe and the earth are associated. We know that the earth and us are associated because the chemicals that are in us, or the elements that are in us, are in the earth, and so on in the body. We know that the mental aspect works by through the presence of the body. If it wasn't for the body, we don't know. I mean, nobody has any way of measuring if there's mental aspect then. But we can measure responses that take place within the brain, different aspects of the brain, nervous system, so on, that we can tell that there's a connection there, but it seems like it feels somewhat distinct. But we know we have it because we can think when we're lying perfectly still and not deliberately moving anything in our body. We know that we have emotions, and emotions can be measured once again by neural network or something like that, reactions that take place in the brain. What part scientists have studied now and see what parts of the brain actually trigger when there's emotions felt, and that is a feeling, that because we can think a thought and feel this way or this way, so it seems independent, but it's interrelated because it's all happening in the same body experience. These are things that we know, and no amount of hucksterism can falsify this if it's measurable. In other words, different people can take different measurements, we get the same results. If there's a way of measuring the distance between the Earth and the Moon, and it's 4 billion miles, a huckster's going to have a hard job selling the idea that it's 8 million miles, because a whole bunch of other people can verify that it is. So verifiables are important. After that, there's probably lots of inquiry to make. But I'm here to say, and for myself anyways, that my goodness, with the curiosity and the inquiry into the little bit of a surface that we do know, like there is this universe, there is this earth, there is this body, mind, and emotions, just that, to understand it alone is just a cornucopia of discovery of self. Just that alone. And spirituality then is one's own experience of the wonder of it all. I don't think it's necessary to have some sort of priest come up with some stories that are not verifiable, that cannot be tested, like the body can be tested, like the universe can be tested, earth can be tested, mind, emotions, and so on, and therefore are just purely subjective. Maybe experienced, but still subjective because they can't be transferred exactly the same and they cannot be tested. So I think it's important to, if truth matters, if honesty matters, to narrow things down, simplify things down in life. And they're important because, for me anyways, because the quality of life seems to be there. It's like that video I watched a couple days ago with Stefan Molyneux, that there's those qualities show up in terms of things like endorphins or dopamine. Dopamine is just like this hormone that's released as the result of having gotten somewhere, having done something that seemed like it was right, And there's something about honesty, even to ourselves, just to ourselves. Well, we got to be honest with ourselves first, right? But it doesn't matter even if it's just inside of our mind, in terms of being able to go to bed at night and say, you know what, I tried my best, and I tried to stick with what I can know on a certain level at least, rather than falling for hucksterism of a bunch of things that, frankly, I don't know if anybody can really be sure of. So if there's things that we cannot really be sure of, and there's things that we can be somewhat sure of, and continue to unfold that, then my bet is on that. So, and maybe it might sound selfish, but for purely even if it was just for the quality of life experience, I would say that it's worth it. What do you think? Is this helpful? Is it important to be as honest as we can? If you think so, Let me know what you think. If you want, chime in down below. And if I have any more thoughts on the spirituality thing, I will chime in again and let you know. Steve here once again. Sign off for now. Talk again soon.